Hello, everyone. Review. Why does anything exist at all? Why is there not just nothing? What is nothing? Nothing is that which doesn't exist, so that's like asking why does it not just exist non-existence? Why does anything exist at all is like asking why does non-existence not exist? The best way I like to phrase it is non-existence is never, existence is always. If we were to say that non-existence would somehow be first, we're giving it a state. You can only give states to things that exist. So existence is always, that is the first state. So what does exist? I call it simnia. Simul omnia. The combined everything. I just Google translated for Latin terms. And then I combine the two words to make simnia. It sounds kind of like a name, but think of it as a term. And then the opposite, that which doesn't exist, I call alihil. Alium nihil. Everyone really usually knows omnia and nihil. And so alihil is alium nihil. Alium is different. And then nihil is nothing, so it's the different nothing. It's different from what exists. What are these two things? Well, they are complete opposites. So what is opposite of nothing? It is everything. What is everything that exists? We use Parmenides' rationalism. Everything that exists has to be in stasis. It cannot change. Because we've already said that non-existence is never, so what exists can never, what does not exist can never come to exist. So if we were to say that change is possible, that would assume a past which no longer exists and a future which does not exist yet. You can see how this implies existing becoming non-existent and non-existent becoming existent. So it can't change. That would exist is in stasis. It is uniform. It has no parts. Why? Well, if it had any parts, what would those parts be made out of? What could separate these parts? We would say either something else that exists, and then, so now we have two things that exist, two different things. And what separates those two different things? We would either say nothingness, but we can't use nothingness to separate things because nothingness does not exist. So we can't use nothingness to separate things that exist. Or we can say a third thing that exists. But now what happens? Now we have a third thing that exists. And now how do we separate that from the other two? Now a fourth thing, now a fifth thing, now a sixth thing, infinitely. So it's one thing that exists and it's completely uniform. This simnia is self-sufficient, self-reliant. It relies on nothing else. Sometimes it's kind of funny to say it relies on nothing, but we have to be careful when we say that because we don't want to imply that it relies on nothingness, because that kind of almost sounds like we're saying it comes from nothing, but it doesn't come from nothing. Maybe we can say it kind of comes from the necessitation of, for something to exist, there is necessitated the idea of its absence, but it's not coming from nothingness. Because nothingness is never. So it's self-reliant, because if it relied on something else, then what would that thing rely on? Something else, and something else, and something else. And we already know that there's not different types of things, there's only the one thing, so it's self-reliant. We can say that alihil is otherly reliant, because it is not an existent thing on its own, it's only the privation of a thing. I learned from Ken Wheeler's Neoplatonism videos, he says Light is a thing on its own. Shadow is the privation of light. Shadow is not an existent thing on its own. It's only the absence of light. So we can use that law here, or law, or sorry, like rule, logic, whatever, statement, whatever you want to call it. Simnia is a thing on its own and is self-reliant. Alihil is not a thing on its own and is otherly reliant. Simnia is perfect because if it was not perfect in any way, it would be broken and it wouldn't be forever. And Simnia has to be forever because, as we said before, what exists cannot become non-existent. What does not exist can never become existent. Simnia is in balance. It is everything all at once. And I like to use the point metaphor. If you have a point on a piece of paper, and this point is being tugged on in every direction equally all at once, it is not moving, it is in stasis. So even though it wants to do everything, since it is in equilibrium, it is in stasis still. It is not actually changing, it is not actually moving. That's Simnia. Simnia has awareness because for something to have awareness, there has to be something existent. Whereas Alihil has ignorance, the absence of awareness. We can say Simnia has rationality and connection because it's uniform, and for things to interact, they have to be connected. And Simnia is completely uniform and connected and combined, whereas that which doesn't exist is completely separated. We can also say that Alihil is in complete and absolute change, whereas it's this funny, here's the funny thing about Alihil and Simnia. Simnia is doing everything all at once, so even though it's doing everything, it's not actually changing at all. Alihil is changing in absolute. It's changing 100% of the time, such that it's never, for even a moment, settling down to exist, if that makes sense. So we have this funny situation that Simnia, even though it's doing everything all at once, it's not actually changing. And Alihil is changing, but it's not actually doing anything. Change and stasis. This is where the yin-yang symbol kind of comes in, where they are complete opposites, yet they have some sort of weird similarity of each other. Anyways, Simnia has abundance because Simnia is infinite. We can associate this with love and knowledge. You can give and give and give as much love and knowledge away as you want, and you'll always remain full of it, provided that you're being self-sufficient of it to yourself. But you can also be hungry. It depends on your perspective. Or you can be like Alihil and be love and knowledge hungry. You can take and take and take and always be empty. See, it's crazy how there's all these associations with this. This is why it's so interesting to me, this fake duality but true monality, I don't know what you call it. Because really only Simnia exists, so it's not an actual true duality, it's a fake duality. It's really only one thing that exists, and that is Simnia. Simnia. So here's the great simulation that I like to call it. How, if change is impossible, how does this world exist? Well, first let me explain. Simnia is pure potential of everything that could ever possibly exist, all at once. Completely uniform. Think of it like this. The color white, light, is every color all at once, right? I think that's correct. Think of Simnia like that. Now, Simnia is in balance and is doing everything all at once. So Simnia is everything and does everything all at once, which is balance, and has awareness. And so Simnia's awareness is experiencing nothing, because there's no change. You can only experience change. But nothing doesn't exist, and it cannot exist. So Simnia's awareness actually experiences a diluted nothing. It experiences a what if nothing did exist. And anyways, back to the white light reference. It's as if we know that you can't shadow a light, you can only light a shadow. But through illusion, you can shadow a light. Through simulation, you can shadow a light. But not rationally, not logically. And so when you shadow a light, you can filter out some of those frequencies and get just specific colors out of it. And so through this simulation, you're actually getting specific separated paths. So even though Simnia is every single possible reality existence all at once, it is, white light, metaphorically. Through its own illusion, it experiences one of those colors separate at a time. We can say the opposite. So we say this phrase: Simnia is everything, it does everything all at once, which is balance. Its prior cause is balance. Its post effect is nothing. Alihil is nothing, does nothing, all separated, which is chaos, if it were able to exist. That's where the what if comes in. If we were to complete that statement, its prior cause is complete separation and nothing, but its post effect is eventually everything. Eventually everything. So it's almost like this. It's like Simnia is experiencing this fake diluted nothing, which is really, it's as if Simnia was like, let's experience myself in pure random order. So Simnia is experiencing each individual possibility that it has within itself with randomness and chaos. And with separation. Because really, we are all Simnia. All of our awarenesses come from Simnia. Our awarenesses are real, but they are only illusionary, only by illusion separated. And so it's part of Simnia's default state that it necessitates its own disillusion. It is a desire. It is Simnia's addiction and desire of nothing. Simnia knows everything rational by default, and so it wants to know. Simnia has everything that exists, so it wants nothing. We can re-say that as Simnia wants non-existence, which includes chaos, imbalance, irrational. And we can see in this life all the different sides of it. The irrational, the rational, the imbalance, the balance, the perfect, the imperfect, the chaos, the pain, the love, the suffering, the compassion, combination, the separation. Anyways, this world is finite because Simnia is infinite and Alihil is quantityless. And because it's finite, that means eventually there is an ending. Because there is a beginning. See, here's the thing. Because it's an illusion, nothing can come from something, or something can come from nothing. Because it's an illusion. Just like our computers. Our computers spawn nothing from something from nothing. Simnia, funnily enough, is spawning nothing from something, but fakely. Simnia is spawning the experience of nothing from something, not true nothingness. This is actually the crazy like intertwinedness of it. It's like Simnia is simulating nothing from something, and then that nothing is simulating something from that simulated nothing, and then eventually, you know, it's like eventually we learn enough here, and if we come to an ending point where we've learned enough irrational and we've experienced enough, and we go, I'm done here. I am ready to go back. Because separation is part of the illusion. Separation is not real. There's only combination. And so our separated awarenesses is an illusion. As we learn, eventually our separation will be, or eventually will be recombined back with Simnia. But Simnia is forever, and so there will always be more awarenesses experiencing life. But just as we go through times of boringness and funness and sadness and greatness, love and hate, pain and happiness, it'll always be that way. Simnia is perfect, so don't be afraid and don't be like scared that fuck, this is forever. Fear, I would say, is an Ali Hill quality, meaning it's non-existent. Whereas I would associate love with Simnia, meaning it is real. Love is harmonious in combination. Love is peace. Self-love. Simnia is alone. Simnia is the only thing that exists. It only has itself to love. You could potentially say, well, I'm not going to get into that. I think it's okay to say that love is part of Simnia. Seems to be the case. And, well, let's see how that is. If that was a decent restatement of it all. Thank you.